Tom did a beautiful job describing for you the mission of the college, of that I call it a tripartite mission of Catholic, liberal arts, and Norbertine. One piece of that mission that is really central to who we are is, of course, the development of students in their whole selves, as Tom described. And so I'd like to play off of this idea of thriving that Performa has incorporated its own approach and its own purposes as a firm. The perspective I have about the work of Performa and Norbert College is very much about how it's impacted student learning and our ability to help students thrive or flourish. And a true partner like Performa allows institutions like St. Norbert College to really create facilities and an ecosystem that enables and advances human flourishing. It allows students to optimally learn and grow and develop. And that's one of our aspirations as an institution, to be increasingly more recognized nationally as institutions producing tremendous outcomes. And the best measure of our outcome is our students, our graduates, that they're graduating on time and even early, that they have developed these important foundational liberal arts outcomes of critical thinking, analytical skills. Facilities and the ecosystem in which we create and shape facilitates that and allows that thriving and human flourishing to be optimal and to really create an exceptional experience for our students, our faculty, and our staff as well. And that absolutely has a direct correlation tied to the way we think about and the way we design and the way we refine the spaces. If you've not been on campus, it's a wonderful example of how our mission, our institutional mission and purposes are reflected explicitly in our space. And therefore, I think creates for students an opportunity to really grow and develop in ways that they hope for. Another, you talk about purposes and what something that Tom and I held in common for sure in any thriving institution these days is thinking about their enrollment. One of the transformational outcomes that we've seen at St. Norbert College with our facilities planning and the work with Performa is how we compete differently today than we have ever competed for students because of the physical expression of our facilities and our mission. And I will tell you that when I came as a new president with a significant background in enrollment, I had big eyes because I knew that many of the hurdles that many of our competitors cannot get over is the sophistication in which families are choosing colleges these days. They're looking at the quality of your academic program, the competitiveness of your athletic teams, the beauty and the functioning and the sophistication of your facilities. It's a very comprehensive decision-making process, unlike the one that Tom or I used when we went to college. These families are really looking carefully at our facilities and comparing them. And this long 25-year partnership with Performa and succession over 3 presidents has allowed the college to differentiate itself in the marketplace when we're recruiting students. And that's really a foundational piece to what we're able to do these days.
It was the mobile library. And, you cannot have a great college campus without a great library, because the library is the intellectual heart of any campus. And we literally had never had a building that actually was meant to be a library at St. Norbert College in over 100 years until the mobile library came along. And it's also a good example because libraries, of course, were just entering this wildly transitional phase. In the summer of 2008, as the girders were going up, you're still trying to answer the question, well, what the hell is a library in a digital world? And in fact, I think, Brian would tell you, the design was fairly far along in a sort of a conventional sense of a library, when the librarian at the time was, I think, the first one to kind of raise the flag and just say, it feels like, we're building a wonderful, old school library, but are we building what we need for tomorrow, 21st century library? And with that, we completely started reimagining what the interior space needed to be and the functions. And that's one of the reasons that I have always liked and respected Performa is just, they can turn on a dime. Mm-hmm. And they, a lot of quote partners, unquote, like any relationship, when you want to do something that late in the game, their first impulse is to kind of dig in and persuade you why that's not a great idea. Mm-hmm. If anything, Performa was usually, out ahead of us, and they were leading a conversation about, now it looks to me like you're trying to build a great 20th century library here. Shouldn't we be talking about a 21st century library? And so, that was, I think, a perfect example of how working with Performa, we sort of mid-course, developed just a stunningly effective 21st century. It would probably be almost shocking to look at that library today and then go back and look at the original, one of the original floor designs from 2006 or 2007. So there's lots and lots of examples, but that was one of the first, that I experienced, and one of the most important to this day. I'm sure Brian would agree, for St. Norbert College.
A long-standing relationship with, as Tom described, a true partner, allows us to have the continuity of wisdom and expertise, understanding of who we are, and understanding who our students are. And in this case, Performa has also positioned us to be adaptive. And so with regard to the library, it's hard to believe, but I think it was last year, we are so 10th year of the library opening.
Right.
And we've already been able to leverage sort of the visionary thinking and the innovation that was in the design and the construction of that facility to allow us to adapt to the changing needs of our students and the academy.
The Gail Mulva Science Building. We've always had outstanding science faculty, and we've always had outstanding students that were studying the sciences, but the times were rapidly overtaking us in terms of how serious we could be about education in the sciences if we were in a 55 or 60-year-old building that was equipped, more poorly than many of the science facilities in the high schools these kids were coming from. So we've known for a long time that we needed to get serious about the science, and we were finally able to do that. And so that was, I think, one of those transformational projects that Brian was talking about, and one of those transformational opportunities. And I know that they are parlaying those opportunities even as we speak. But in particular, we were well along with that project when the opportunity arose to partner with the Medical College of Wisconsin in a satellite campus for the Green Bay area. And we, a lot of people did a lot of good work to effectuate that partnership, but it could not have happened if we didn't have a home for the medical college. And it hasn't happened because essentially in the design phase of the science building, we were able to hit the brakes, get creative, and in fairly short order, working with the medical college, design a home for them, within the Gail Mulva Science Building. That was the last big piece of the puzzle that we needed to make this work. And again, a lot of quote partners, unquote, might have considered that just, a migraine that they didn't need or would have gone along grudgingly. But, but that's not in Performa's DNA. And so they could appreciate what a transformative opportunity this would be for the college, and therefore they moved heaven and earth to make it happen. And they worked very closely with the medical colleges to build out what they needed in their home away from home. And today, it may still be the case that St. Norbert is the only liberal arts college, in the country that has, a standalone medical, a full-blown medical school on its campus grounds, if you will.
The Gail Mulva Science Center is an example, and I'd love to build on that just a little bit and say that since that building was open. It's an example of a building precisely as Tom described that has really transformed the campus and made so many things possible. Not only the partnership with the Medical College of Wisconsin, but also the impact it's had on the life of our faculty, the experience of our students, and our enrollment. Since that building has opened, we have seen a 25% increase in the number of students studying the sciences.
Wow.
So that is an outcome that is only possible because of the impact, because of that facility. And I will tell you that it's an example of a facility that has breathed life and opportunity into the life of our faculty. They're now teaching, some of our faculty are teaching the Medical College of Wisconsin students. Medical College of Wisconsin students are, in fact, they're teaching our students. They're sharing an anatomy lab. Their research is different today because of that facility. And the students, that's for 25% of our students, that's their home. And it's really a beautiful example of a facility that has made a transformational impact across the board in many ways. Another example I'd love to give as a story of a facility that has really created opportunity for the college is the Michaels Commons. And Tom can tell you the story, how that came to be. But what I've wanted to share about that facility is that we've always had a pretty good food service program. And since the Michaels Commons has come on board, it's created all sorts of wonderful outcomes. The football coach, Coach McCarty, is a little frustrated because in the campus visit evaluations, the food gets higher evaluations than his coaches does. So I told him he's all right. We know that on a per football basis, we're losing money on the food program, but that facility that was so beautifully designed around students' needs, and today is just a bright, shining jewel in the student experience. Since that facility has opened, St. Norbert College has continued to be recognized nationally for our food service program. And about a year and a half ago, we went from country number 1 in Wisconsin to 9th in the country, and still number 1 in Wisconsin. I don't know how much better the food needs to be to go from 13 to 9 or 9 to 5, but we're really proud of not only the facility, but what that facility has allowed in terms of the quality of the food and the way we're able to attend to the dietary needs of our students. And that Michaels Commons and that dining facility has become one of the most highly evaluated features of our campus tour, and it's another example of a facility that's really made a difference in the lives of our students.
It was late in the afternoon. We caught Jeff probably with one foot out the door, and that's how fast that became a priority. And even though you guys are architects and engineers and I'm not, I don't think I have to tell you how much work goes into, even a concept, that has the serious concept, but to be able to turn it around, something so significant and so important to the campus so quickly, to me is just kind of a pretty interesting metaphor for that, the relationship and your astounding flexibility. And again, I'll end up where I started this conversation. That's what partners do. Nobody said, well, I'm going to be on vacation next week, could it wait till the week after that? And even if you would have been, you would have figured it out because, you knew that we needed it. So never, ever will be able to tell you how much we appreciate that kind of commitment to St. Norbert College.
Just define the relationship, how responsive and how thoughtful. And that's how and what a 25-year relationship can look like. And when I think about your question about the people, when I talk to donors and alumni at the college who have given to the college to support these facilities or even scholarship funds, when I talk with the administrators that were in Tom's leadership team, some of which are still with me, and as I talk with them that have retired, they have great pride in what together on behalf of the college and students they accomplished with Performa. And that sense of pride really comes off as a sense of family and a sense of commitment over the generations. And when I think of my own stories with Performa, I think of, they're all my favorites, right? But Brian and Doug are two that I've spent some time with. And even when they're just checking in to see how I'm doing, following we might not have a project even in play, but they're still there checking in, cultivating, supporting, tending to that relationship, that long-standing relationship. And so I, like Tom, really proud of the things that were accomplished before me, have great pride of the handoff that we've done. And as an alum and as the president, take great joy in collaborating with someone like Performa to the benefit of our students and our community and this beloved mission and institution we call St. Norbert College.